Hi, this is Elliot Eisenberg of Graphs and Labs here to catch you up to date on the latest in residential sales data for August. In August, in Hillsborough County, single-family home prices increased. It was the only county and the only type of property, single-family, that saw an increase. It rose 0.8%. Multifamily property prices on average year over year slipped 4.9%. Sales activity declined 9.7% year over year on the single family side and a more substantial 15.3% on the more volatile multifamily side. Sales price as a percentage of original listing price continued to decline. It's now 95.9% on the single fam side and a weaker 93.4% on the multifamily side. Pending sales pleasantly rose 2.5% for single family, and on the multifamily slide slid 5.4%. Lastly, inventory continues to increase. It's now 4.1 months of inventory on the single family, and that's tied with Pasco for the lowest amount out there. And on the multifam side, it's now 5.8 months. Clearly, the market's cooling, and it's cooling more quickly on the multifamily side. In Pasco County, single-fam home prices, year-over-year median prices slid 1.5%. Multifamily prices slid a lot more, 13.7%. Sales activity on the single-family side slid 12.7%. And on the multifamily side, which is much more mercurial and much more volatile than the single-family side, they slid 33.8%. Sales price as a percentage of list price continues to decline here like it has in the other counties, Hillsborough and Pinellas County. Here, it's 95.9% for single family sales, and on the multifamily sales price as a percentage of list price is averaging 93.6%. That's the best multifamily performance across all three counties. Pending sales activities up a pleasant 2% for single family, but down 9.4% for multifamily. Lastly, inventory continues its steady increase. It's now at 4.1 months. That's the best performance, tied with Hillsborough County. And on the multifamily side, it's 4.9. That's the best multifam performance for all three counties. Clearly, the market is cooling, and multifamily is cooling a little bit more. In Pinellas County, single-fam home prices slid 10.2% year over year for median price, and on the multifamily side slid just 3.5%. That was the best multifamily performance across all three counties. Sales activity rose a smart 9% for single family and declined to just 5.5% for multifamily. That was the best multifamily performance across all three counties. Sales price as a percentage of list price continues to decline, and it's quite low. It's 93.3% for single family sales, and on the multifamily side, it's even lower at 91.2%. Clearly, this is a particularly strong buyer's market. As a result, pending sales appear to be up 13.3% year over year on the single family side and up 3.9% for multi. Those are the best performances for each type of properties across all three counties. And inventory, like everywhere else, is also rising. It's now at 4.4 months for single family and 8 months for multi. Clearly, multifamily is weaker than single, and multifamily certainly presents a lot of opportunities for first-time buyers. Turning our attention to the national economy, forecasts for the current quarter are average about 1.6 or 1.7%, very similar to what we experienced in the first half of 2025, but well down from what we experienced last year in calendar year 24. GDP growth was 2.8%. With GDP growth declining, it's not surprising that unemployment is up. It's now 4.3%. This is the highest rate in at least 4 or 5 years. But the problem that the Fed faces is not only is unemployment going up, but so is inflation. And this double whammy of rising in both areas is giving the Fed fits. They can easily solve the problem of rising unemployment by lowering interest rates, but that raises inflation. If they raise rates, they'll reduce inflationary pressures, but hurt the labor market. Because of this conundrum that they've been in for a long time, stuck between the proverbial rock and a hard place, they kept rates unchanged since December. But finally, in the middle of September, they cut rates by a quarter point because they saw the labor market and unemployment getting worse much more rapidly than inflation, which is just and only slowly and steadily increasing rather than the more quick, snappy movement of the unemployment rate. And as a result of this, I expect the Fed to cut rates by a quarter point at least one more time, if not twice, before the year's out. A lot will, of course, depend on the trajectory of inflation and unemployment. Thinking about this in terms of mortgage rates, we've had some pretty good luck. The mortgage rate has come down, the 30-year mortgage, for two reasons. One reason is weakening economic conditions with slow GDP continuing and a weakening labor market. The second and uncorrelated and unrelated reason is there's been a reduction in interest rate volatility. And that has reduced the big yawning gap between the 10-year Treasury and the 30-year mortgage, bringing it nicely down. Lastly, as far as a recession likelihood, I think it's about 35%, and I'm hoping that lower rates down the road will help, and some fiscal stimulus from the one big beautiful bill that Congress passed a month or so ago will also help. Turning our attention to the national housing market, there's nothing really new. The market remains in neutral, with housing sales averaging roughly bouncing up around and down, but very clearly at or around the 4 million unit mark. Quite a poor performance. And home prices continue to go up, albeit very slightly at the nominal level. So they're up about 2% nationally year over year at this point, but inflation's a little more, meaning real prices for homes are actually beginning to decline. And I suspect that housing affordability will increase as we go forward because I expect home prices to continue to decline at the national level. Turning our attention to Florida, the Florida economy is quite good. GDP growth is good, and unemployment in Florida is well lower than the national level, and it's well lower in all the four major cities in Florida compared to the national level as well. That said, the Florida housing market continues to cool, there is no doubt, but Tampa is clearly not alone. If you look at Tampa, Orlando, Miami, and Jacksonville, the four biggest cities in Florida, all four of them are buyers markets. All four of them are experiencing price declines. And I expect that we will continue to see price declines in these four cities and elsewhere in Florida. And that's important. And this is not a bad thing. There's a lot of home equity out there. We can withstand some price declines. This is not like 08, 09. So we're going to hopefully see a little more price declines. That's important because it increases affordability, and increases in affordability are the best way to see a robust housing market in the future.